Now, before we close out our stories of redefining success, we have a deeply personal tale from Elizabeth Aguilera, who is no stranger to struggle and transformation. In fact, Elizabeth opens up about her escape from a toxic marriage and a suffocating career where she endured years of emotional and mental pain. But her story is one of triumph, finding the courage to choose herself, rebuild her life, and embrace her true purpose. Take a look.
I'm Elizabeth Aguilera, and this is my story of success redefined. So I am a life coach, and my mission is to help women rebuild their lives after narcissistic abuse. And the reason I wanted to write this story is to reach as many people as possible so that they could see themselves in my story, identify that they're with a narcissist, and realize that what they're going through is emotional and psychological abuse. That was the third 4th of July in a row that I was standing at the same window with my son in the same unhappiness. And I knew that nothing was going to change unless I made a change. And something clicked inside me that night, and I was ready to do whatever I had to do to get away from the narcissist. I knew I would release the hounds of hell when I asked for the divorce, and I knew he would make me pay for leaving him. But staying with him was killing my soul, and I didn't really have a choice. It was really pure survival that I had to leave. It wasn't actually until decades after the divorce that I realized what I had been through. It was about 20 years later that I saw a program about narcissists, and that connected the dots for me and helped me realize the emotional and psychological abuse that I had experienced. I really didn't have a name for what it was. The term narcissist wasn't very common in the 1980s. I had a restraining order against him. He violated that in plain sight of the police. I didn't feel like I had anyone to really turn to for help. I called 911, and he ripped the phone right out of the wall while I was talking to them. He had me by the throat, pinned up against the house one night. He would show up in the house, in the hallway at 6 a.m. and just stare at me while I was getting my son ready for daycare. He would block the car in the driveway so I couldn't get to work. And he would use sleep deprivation in order to control me. He would love to fight, and he would actually wake me up if he wanted to continue the fight. And if I didn't get up, he threatened to dump a bucket of water on me. It was a difficult time, but I didn't know what to call it. And now I know it's narcissistic abuse. I found that inner peace really two ways. I found my faith again, and through self-love. And so finding my faith again, I call it, I was on a 30-year wilderness journey where I didn't renounce my faith, but I certainly turned my back on it. And it really wasn't until I found my faith again that I realized the void within me was as big as it was. And finding my faith has given me tremendous peace. And also pouring into myself with self-love, making myself a priority. I literally said out loud, I choose me. And I started doing things that I love. I started doing things that are good for me and to me, and that has really been a key for me, taking care of myself in all those important ways to help me find peace. And why that's so important is my clients, the number one thing that they want in their life is peace. And so being able to tap into that for myself, I model for them what it looks like to be whole and healed after narcissistic abuse. And if I can do it, they can do it too. It actually wasn't my choice to leave corporate America. I was there for 30 years. I was very, very unhappy, but not able to make the switch to just walk away. Even though mentally, psychologically, I was not well, and everything I gave to them, it was just never enough. The universe stepped in and sent my job overseas, and I found out about that when I was on the beach in Jamaica. It's coincidence, perhaps, but Jamaica is where I would go to recharge to center myself and come back to this unsustainable life that I had at home. I call it my liberation. It was the most devastating thing that had ever happened to me at that point. But it was also my liberation because it gave me the time and the space to figure out a new plan for my life, a plan that would finally be aligned and feel good. Standing firm that what I was doing was the right thing was the most difficult challenge. So after I left corporate America, I started my own job, my own business, helping seniors and overwhelmed moms. And I did that for 6 years. And I loved that job. And I had no intentions of leaving it, except that that pull to more started within me again. That nudge of, there's gotta be something more and this isn't it. I want to serve, but in a different way. Everything that I had done in IT was logical and practical and made sense. And here I was, leaving a job that I started this business myself because I had this pull that I had to, and it made no logical sense. So if it didn't make sense to me, how could it make sense to others? And the truth is I didn't have support from my family when they found out what I was doing. My mom thought I was in a cult, and she was not supportive of what I was doing. She was actually disappointed at how far I had fallen from where I used to be when I had a corporate job. My brother didn't understand my need to invest in myself, and he actually tried to talk me out of my dream because I was just throwing my money away on one scam after another. The thing is I don't blame them. They were just trying to keep me safe, and they were worried about me. And I understand that because at times I thought I was crazy too. I didn't really understand what I was doing, except that I knew I had to do this and I wanted to. Steve Jobs, I love his commercial that says, "Here's to the crazy ones." The people who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are the ones that actually do. And so being crazy is an honor to be called that. I understand that struggle, and I understand the fear. I lived in it, and I was paralyzed by it for a very long time. But we didn't come here to suffer. And as the saying says, you can live 90 years or you can live the same year 90 times. It's your choice. It's your choice, the kind of life you want to live, what you want to focus on, and what you want to create for yourself. Don't be afraid to pivot if you're someplace that you are unhappy and you know you don't belong. You have to be brave and make the change that you know you're being called to. Fear will always be part of what you do whenever you're doing something new. And we really have to embrace fear. It's not necessarily a bad thing. My mentor, Mary Morrissey, says we embrace the fear and we tell ourselves, this is what it looks like when it's all coming together. And so fear will always be on your journey, but you don't have to be stopped by it. And you don't have to make the change in your life all at once. You can stay where you are and you can create an exit plan. You can be curious and start to find out, what is it that I would really love? Create a vision for yourself and get really clear with where it is that you want to go. And after that, it's having the courage to do things imperfectly and with courage and taking baby steps towards your dream. And that's how you'll get where you want to be.
Elizabeth's remarkable journey of self-liberation highlights such a powerful message of resilience and reinvention. Her story reminds us that sometimes the path to finding our true purpose is filled with pain, but on the other side there is peace, strength, and a life lived on our own terms.